This is the year 1914 when an 8-year-old child was playing in a village in Japan when he saw a machine running on wheels. Well, it was Ford's Model T, seeing which the child was very surprised. This was the day when he saw a machine running on wheels. For the first time, a 1-year-old child was fond of cars and mechanical parts. Its name was Soichiro Honda, and who knew that in the future we will see its name on every small and big vehicle. Soichiro Honda was born in 1906 in a small village near Mount Fuji, Japan. His parents, besides being blacksmiths, also did bicycle repair part-time. Honda's 5 sisters and brothers had already died due to chronic diseases. He had already become a mother, so his parents had high expectations from their child, but he had no interest in studies. However, Honda was more interested in repairing bicycles with himself. When he turned 16, he wrote an article in the newspaper. Saw an ad of 8 Chowki, this automobile service station in Tokyo, wanted a technician, when Honda wrote a letter to the company and was lucky that a positive reply was also received from there. This was the time when Honda left his home and school and started earning money. Honda's dream of becoming a Ravana in Tokyo was shattered when he reached Tokyo by the age of 8. The owner of the company started reducing the cleanliness of Honda and even put it on babysitting. What would Honda have done if he had thought about it? On one hand, he had left his home and parents behind, and on the other hand, unnecessary work was being taken from him. He was feeling ashamed of going back to his village because he was not daring to face his parents. This was the reason. For the next few years, he was forced to do the same jobs. After a few years, the owner of 8 Chowki also started taking work from the workshop. Honda had a lot of interest in this work from the beginning. That is why he understood things easily. In Mina, he had learned a lot about all types of vehicles and their parts. During this period, 8th Chuk also built 2 Bharat cars, in which the first vehicle was 8th Dialor and the second was Cortez. Both these vehicles were made using used engines which were manufactured by Japanese. He also achieved the first position in the Motorcar Championship in 1924. Honda was a good mechanic till now, but in this race he was sitting as an engineer along with the driver. This was the event after which the truth came that Honda made Motor India its religion. For years he kept doing the same thing and also kept increasing his experience. In 1928, at the age of 22, owner decided to open another branch of his own. This brand was to be in the city of Hammersu, for which owner gave Honda to run. After giving responsibility and sending him there, Honda had started this new branch of 8 hides with 1 worker, and in just 2 years it had grown to 30 workers. He had now also become a brilliant mechanic and racing driver. Taking advantage of his expertise, this car, designed by India for its owner, had the power to run at a speed of 120 kilometers per hour, which broke all the old records. This record remained the highest record of Japan for the next 20 years. The importance of Honda in the heart of the owner of 8 Chuk. Owner was very upset. He wanted to open his own workshop, but perhaps fate did not approve of it. During racing in 1936, Honda met with an accident. In this accident, he lost his life, but his left arm was fractured and his shoulder was dislocated. It happened and he had suffered many wounds on his face. He saw that his life was coming to an end here. Neither could he work as a mechanic, nor could he take part in racing. After several months, when he got well again, he had completed 8K. Owner was requested that he could no longer do the repairs. Instead, he put forward the idea that why not start a separate company to make spare parts. The exact holder of 8C immediately rejected this idea of Honda. He was already getting profits and no one was interested in taking a new risk. Hence, Honda decided that he would open a parts manufacturing company on his own. In 1936, at the age of 30, he, along with his friend, started heavy industry in Tokai. He opened the company and made his friend Shinsei Kanto its president. He had opened the company, but Honda had no investment to run it. He used to work for 8 posts throughout the day, while at night he himself would be working on engines for his new company. He used to try to make a piston for the next few years, and he continued to follow this routine, but he could not get any success. On the contrary, he had become weak due to continuous shift work. One failure after another had rocked his path, and that's why he decided to achieve success in India in metallurgy. Took admission in a university in 1939. After 3 years of continuous hard work, he finally succeeded in making a piston. Now he left it and started busy making weights all the time, but he did not know that his there is still a lot of water present in the pistons made. When he offered his pistons to Toyota Company, Toyota rejected 47 out of 50 designs. This news fell like a lightning on Honda because now there was no way for him to return. He contacted various companies. To understand Honda's retirement, he started scouring the whole of Japan, visited different factories and met manufacturers. He spent the next several years in understanding the market, and after that Honda once again made a piston. This time it was piston sorry. He had passed the quality control of the company, he started getting orders in full swing, and once again Honda saw his dreams coming true. To fulfill the orders, his company also hired 2,000 workers. This happiness of Honda was only for a few. Who knew that Mina was a guest? At the age of 19, Japan jumped into World War II, and the ministry took control of many Japanese companies, one of which was Soichiro Honda. After making Honda Dr. Great, he became the scenery managing director of this company. It was built, and things went haywire when the company's workers were drafted into military service. The next 3 years were spent in extremely difficult conditions. But in 1944, an incident occurred that completely dashed Honda's hopes during the A-raid. A missile hit Honda's factory directly. The situation in the whole country was getting worse. Japan appeared to be losing the war. Then in 1945, there were 2 nuclear attacks which completely broke the back of Japan. After this sentence, Japan's surrender did it in front of the Americans. The traffic jam was now over, but Honda had lost everything. He sold his child's '66 Toyota for 450,000 rupees and once again sat jobless. This situation is not only with Honda. In fact, the whole of Japan was going through a very bad crisis. The economy was melting, food and water were in crisis, and inflation had broken everyone's back. It was very difficult to get public transport because even petrol had become scarce in Japan. Meanwhile, Honda found a small engine of the Japanese Imperial Army, which he used to run a wireless radio. Forced by his habit, he came up with an idea. He thought, why not improve his transportation by installing this engine in a bicycle? This would make transportation easier and cheaper. It would also cost a lot because people in faraway places were already very worried about inflation, so when they saw the same engine installed on a bicycle, everyone liked the idea. Honda got a few used ones, but the demand from people was so high that now Honda itself. This was the first time in history that Honda's logo was seen on any machine. Honda did not have enough money to make these cycles at the mainstream level, so he wrote an open letter in the name of 18,000 shopkeepers to the people of Honda. There was so much trust in it that 3,000 shopkeepers gave it a positive reply and also gave money in advance. In the next 3 years, Honda made a motorcycle which was launched in the market under the name of Super Cup, which created a stir in the market as soon as it came. This model was so successful that in 1958 it overtook the sales of America's own Triumph in Harley-Davidson. Because Honda was very fond of racing, that is why it now decided to make bikes for India. He used to go to various bike races, and the number of bikes used to be sold in India was more than just a competition race, but a marketing tool for the manufacturing company. Within a few years, Honda's first bike was launched in India, which achieved the first position in the 1962 International Racing Competition. The race made Honda's name famous all over the world. In 1960, Honda had become the world's largest motorcycle manufacturing company, and by 1968 it had sold 1 crore units. After 62 years of its life, Honda finally got success. But the dream he had been harboring since childhood had not yet been fulfilled. Now Honda wanted to go towards manufacturing as well. Many people even dissuaded him from doing so, but he did not listen to anyone. Already in Noida and companies like Nissan had established their business there, it was very difficult to make a new place in the market. Honda launched its first pickup truck, T360, which failed, and then launched S500 in India, of which only 1,300 units were sold. After many years of hard work and dozens of designs being rejected, Honda Civic was finally launched in 1972. This is the car whose new models are famous all over the world till date. In 1980, Honda Motor was the 3rd largest manufacturing company in Japan, and in just 10 years within a year, it became the 3rd largest in the world. Today, Honda's name can be seen on cars, motorcycles, boat engines, plane engines, and dozens of power tools. The very next year after the launch of Civic, he took retirement from the company in 1973. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next great video.